I'm Jim DeCesar from Renda Broadcasting Corporation here in Indiana and our network of radio stations, and I want to thank you so much for coming here to the luncheon today. Would you please welcome our Master of Ceremonies for today's event, Mr. Bob Kane.
Thank you. And thank you for coming. I would ask you all to rise as we present the colors and play the national anthem. Today's colors will be presented by IUP ROTC Color Cadet Guard. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Beth Gregg and will be played by the Senior High School Band. Beth?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commerce. Today, we celebrate an historic event. We celebrate the results of the work and efforts and successes of 100 years. Today, we reflect and recognize thousands of people who have preceded us. Especially, we would like to recognize and thank the following former board chairpersons, some of whom are with us today. And I'd ask that they kindly stand when I call their name. Bob Marcus, Carson Green Jr., Chuck Spatafor, Dominic Rocco, Jerry Pike, Jim Miller, John Dolan, John Glass, Mike Donnelly, Steve Wolf, and Tom Carroll. May I ask for a round of applause? Thank you. We all know the critical importance of effective leadership and the required integrity and honesty and strength of these leaders. It is no surprise to me that they lead or led some of the most successful businesses in our county. The Chamber is about business and business growth. However, business is about people and people growth. Effective leaders also build effective teams and teamwork, both within and beyond their organizations, as in the Chamber and other county business partnerships and collaborations. At last year's luncheon, we hosted 391 attendees, which has been a steady growth over the last multiple years. Today, we're proud to report 515 attendees, a 32% increase, and I thank you. And as a joke to Bob, I asked what the capacity was, and it's 1,000, so we'll see next year. Beginning the year, the annual Chamber Expo at Indiana Mall not only featured area companies and organizations with information booths, but a series of educational seminars geared to show ways to improve business through networking, social media, email marketing, university assistance, franchise research techniques, and mobile applications. In support of the Marcellus Shale development, one of our greatest economic opportunities, the Chamber helped to promote the Marcellus Shale Business Opportunities Forum and Vendor Readiness Program at the KCAC right here. As a partner of the CEO, the Chamber helped to promote the annual Pennsylvania Gas Expo, our Marcellus Shale trade show, sponsored by Renda Broadcasting. We have kept a close watch on the dynamics of the oil and gas markets through one of our very own board members, Dave Wallace, CEO of Superior Well Services. In Pennsylvania, figures show Indiana County ranked first in the state in conventional well gas production in 2011, a sign that the county remains strong in traditional production. Ongoing exploration and extraction of natural gas from the Marcellus Shale continue to shape our county economy in positive ways, with regulatory, environmental, and health issues all being considered. Gas production in the Marcellus Shale play, included in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Ohio, continue to grow this year. And industry leaders say that the Marcellus is now the largest gas-producing basin in the U.S., accounting for about 25% of current U.S. natural gas.
political career, walking into the training facility and walking up the stairs to the second floor. And when you get to the top of the stairs, you look in a glass case and you see 6 Super Bowl trophies. And I remember thinking to myself, thank God I'm not an Eagles fan. And then meeting Mr. Rooney, we talked about football for just a few moments, but very quickly the conversation was dominated by the business aspect of the game of football. We talked about workers' compensation, we talked about business taxes, we talked about the development of the economy around the North Shore. And we had a great conversation about operating a billion-dollar enterprise that most folks just think of as a sport. So previously this year, when Dana and Bill Darr had mentioned to me about their pursuit of somebody who's a leader in the business community from the Pittsburgh region and somebody who ideally would be the head of a family-owned business, I thought a wonderful connection for Indiana County would be Mr. Rooney. Now, obviously, unfortunately, Mr. Rooney is not able to be here today because of the tragic loss of a member of their family, and our hearts and our prayers go out to the Rooney family today. But we were very lucky that Mr. Rooney persuaded our general manager of our Pittsburgh Steelers, Mr. Kevin Colbert, to join us. Kevin is in his 13th year with the Pittsburgh Steelers, his 2nd year as the team's general manager. He's a Pittsburgh native who joined the Steelers on February 15, 2000, as the director of football operations for the team for his first 11 years. During his first 12 seasons with the Steelers, Kevin helped assemble teams that have won 2 Super Bowl titles, 3 AFC championships, 6 division championships, and earned 8 playoff berths while having 10 winning seasons. Kevin oversees the personnel area of the team and supervises the scouting staff. Among his duties, he's in charge of administering player acquisitions and transactions, including the NFL draft, free agent signings and trades, and evaluating pro and college personnel. He also acts as the Steelers' liaison with the NFL office and other NFL teams on football matters. Prior to joining the Steelers, Kevin was the pro scouting director for the Detroit Lions for 9 years, and prior to that, he worked for the Miami Dolphins and a scouting service. Colbert began his coaching career and has experience in 3 sports: football, basketball, and baseball. He was a backfield coach and a recruiting coordinator at Ohio Wesleyan University for 3 years, and also served as the school's baseball coach. Prior to that, he was a graduate assistant basketball coach at Robert Morris, and he served as the team's head baseball coach. Born and raised in Pittsburgh, Kevin graduated from North Catholic High School and received his bachelor's degree from Robert Morris College in 1979. He and his wife Janice and their 3 children, Casey, Jennifer, and Daniel, and they have a granddaughter, Avery, who's 1 year old. So please join me in welcoming the general manager of our Pittsburgh Steelers, Kevin Colbert.
Thanks, Dave. On behalf of Art Rooney, excuse me, he asked me to please pass along his apologies. He wanted to be here, but they had a tragic death in the family, and his sister will be buried this coming Saturday. So as Dave, I'd like to echo Dave's request for your thoughts and your prayers for the Rooney family in this time. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Indiana County share a lot of different connections. Our founder, the chief, Mr. Art Rooney, Sr., actually attended the Indiana Normal School, which I believe was very close to the grounds that we're actually on, in 1920 and 21. Jack Henry, who's in the Indiana Sports Hall of Fame, was an assistant coach with us. I think we have J.D. Fogarty. Is J.D. here? There's J.D. J.D. currently works for our radio network as our spotter. So when Billy Hillgrove spots it on the plus 45, it's J.D. that's giving him the marking. We also have a young man named Dan Ferens. His father works in our business administration department, and young Dan is a senior quarterback at Penns Manor High School who had a great season this year, and I know he's looking forward to going on to school, and he might actually end up here. There's also Tom Donahoe and Tom Modrak are both Indiana graduates, and they've worked along with me in the personnel field. Brandon Hunt, our our current pro personnel director is an IUP graduate. There's also someone in the audience that I'd like to have stand up and acknowledge. He's a great friend of the Rooney family. I had the opportunity to talk to him before. Is Coach Klausing still here? Coach Klausing has been a great ambassador to our great sport at the high school, the collegiate, and even at the pro level, where he and a former player of the Steelers, who I forgot to mention, Dave Smith, used to put on all-star games where several pro players, significant pro players, had the opportunity to display their skills for the scouts and move on to NFL careers. And also, before I forget, I know Kurt Signetti is not here, but I want to congratulate on behalf of the Steelers, the Indiana team from this past season and their 12-2 record, the PSAC championship, and the national quarterfinals. When you think of a 100-year anniversary that you guys are celebrating today, that doesn't happen by accident. And when I look out in the audience and I read about who the people are that make up your group, you see businessmen, businesswomen, educators, healthcare officials, lawyers, doctors, and everybody has to work together to achieve this 100-year success. I'm sure that many of you folks are competitors in your individual businesses or practices, but you all share one thing, and that's the common good of the people of Indiana County. And to have 100 years, you need to be applauded for that. So please give yourselves a round of applause. At the Steelers, we're celebrating our 80th season anniversary this year. And, you know, I look at the parallels between the two, and far be it from me to make recommendations to you folks on how to be successful, because you each have had your individual successes. But the parallels are there. We've been successful in our own right to a certain degree over the past 80 years, and we want to continue that success, as I'm sure each and every one of you does. And oftentimes I get asked, how are the Steelers so successful? And it's really not that complicated. It really isn't. For you young guys sitting up, I know the band stayed around to listen, but as I'm sure many of you folks have done throughout your careers, you don't base decisions on money. You don't base decisions on image. You base decisions on what's right for your organization and what's right for the common good of your business, your game. Nobody's bigger than the game for us. The game of football, if we don't have the game of football, we can't be a Super Bowl champion. We have to respect the rules and the regulations of the National Football League and be a cooperative partner with 31 other teams that we try to beat week in and week out. So just as you folks have to cooperatively work together to become one for 100 years, we've tried to do the same thing for 80 years. So as I leave you today, I just want to again congratulate you for this sustained success. It's not done easily. It's not done without a lot of sacrifice and a lot of will. But here's to wishing you another 100 years of sustained success. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. We're going to try something just a little bit different here, because being in the throes of the Steelers season, and we have the general manager here of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would imagine that there are probably a few questions that the crowd may want to ask of you. If you're up for it, Kevin? Okay, so I believe we have a microphone available. How about a show of hands? Does anybody have a question? I'll let you think about it, and I'll ask the question that's on everybody's mind. Is Ben going to play this weekend?
I knew that one was coming. Let me say this. He practiced yesterday. He had a great practice. If you didn't know he wasn't hurt previously, you wouldn't have heard you wouldn't have known he was hurt today. I left before they practiced today. We were going to wait to see how he responded and how he felt the next day. But knowing the type of competitor he is and how he's managed injuries in the past, I'm pretty confident he will play. But let me just mention Charlie Batch. Charlie Batch did an outstanding job last weekend. He was unbelievable. You know, Charlie and I have a little rivalry going on. We have a pool table in our locker room, and every day we play, and he usually beats me. But the other day after the Cleveland game, where we had a very disappointing loss, I said, Charlie, let's go play. And you know, he had left the building already, and he said, you know, I can't do it today because I just feel like I let everybody down. And for him to come back and do what he did last Sunday afternoon against the Baltimore Ravens truly spoke to the character of that young man, because he's truly a special guy and a good quarterback. Questions? You're all anxious to get back to work, aren't you? Don't be shy. Go ahead. Come on. Here we go.
With the retro uniforms, are you going to change the socks?
Well, you know, I'm glad Art should have been here for that one, because actually, you know, the retro uniforms, when we first looked at them, we kind of said, boy, I don't know about those. But, you know, Art was very proud of them, and actually, as we started to wear them, the players were like, you know, these aren't that bad. The skinny players, the fat ones had a little trouble with the horizontal stripes. But he, you know, and actually I think our fans picked up on, but we only wore those for 2 games this year, and next year I'm sure we'll have a different design. But it was fun, but we were 1-1 in them, so if we were 2-0, we might get them back for next year. But anybody else? Got to have another one. Yes, sir.
Because I know I heard this before, but I don't recall the answer as to why the emblem is only on one side of the helmet.
Yeah, you know, that is a good question, and there's so many different explanations other than the chief wanted it that way. And, you know, I mean, there's so many
And we've got one other presentation. Many of you are aware we have a terrible towel that many of you have signed, and if you haven't signed it, you'll have an opportunity before you leave. In our thoughts in doing this, we were hopeful that we would present the Steelers and the Rooneys with something that maybe, Kevin, one day we could potentially see this hanging down in the Great Hall down at Heinz Field. So for those of you, this is the terrible towel, and we'd like everybody to have an opportunity to sign it. It is going to be out in the lobby on your way out, so please, if you haven't already signed it, please do so. So thank you again, Kevin. Okay, well, we are coming down the home stretch of our program, and you know, while we're on the subject of football, Kevin, I'm reminded of the movie Rudy. I'm not sure if any of you know about the story of Rudy, but for those who don't know the story of Rudy, he was a boy from the time he was 5 or 6, dreamt of playing football for the University of Notre Dame, and as he got older, it became apparent to Rudy that he was just too small to play, and that didn't stop him from trying. So you can bring it up, Josh. Thanks. So I assume I can call you Kevin. Is that right? I mean, is that okay?
That'll work.
Hold on a second.
That'll work.
All right, so I can call you Kevin, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so you're familiar with the story of Rudy, right?
Great movie.
All right, so you're the general manager of the Steelers, and you have a lot to say over what happens at the Steelers, day-to-day operations, right?
Absolutely. I hope so. Just the decisions that work out.
Well, I have this friend, okay? His dream was not to play for Notre Dame, it was to play for the Steelers, maybe one day walk out with the team on the field. You think you might be able to help me out with that?
Possibly. It depends on, you know, all the ramifications, but continue.
So what would this friend of mine have to go through if he wanted to walk out and actually put a play in for the Steelers? What would he have to go through?
Well, you know, I have to go through some of that testing that I just talked about, and we'd look for some minimums. You know, the first thing we'd look for is, could he get on the kiddie dips at Kennywood? Would he be tall enough for that? That'd be the first criteria. If he passes that, then we'll move on to step 2.
Yeah, I think he's tall enough for that. What else?
Again, the intelligence factor is very, very important. So there could be some verbal communication and testing that goes on.
Runs the 40 in about 8 or 9 seconds. Is that fast enough?
Is that 1 or 2 40s?
Just a little bit older than Rudy, that's okay?
You know what, I mean, it's a young man's game, and like I tell everybody, I still got what I never had, so we're going to be looking for a little bit of youth and upside.
At any point in time, would he have to do anything involving physical contact with James Harrison, Brett Kiesel, Pouncey, anybody like that?
If you're unfortunate, yes.
That doesn't sound like it's going to work out too good for my friend. Well, I appreciate it. I thought I'd take a shot anyway, but
That's all right. Just relay it to your friend once he's done with his talk, then we can visit.
Maybe instead of watching Rudy, we should watch the movie The Water Boy. Well, at any rate, I digress, and thank you again for coming, Kevin. You know, in 1933, Art Rooney purchased the Steelers for $2,500. Forbes recently ranked it as one of the top professional franchises in sports with a valuation over $1 billion. There are obviously very many good decisions have been made by the Steelers over the years to experience the level of success that they've experienced. One of the things that I've always admired about the Steelers organization is their long-term approach to running their business. They don't do anything for the short term, and we've all seen that in certain players that they decide not to keep and certain players they decide to sign. I think that they take a long-term approach. Time and time again, that has shown to be the case. And I believe that their strategic planning has played a big role in that and how they run their business. And under Dominic's leadership, the Chamber now has a very solid strategic plan. But I find myself at this 100th anniversary at a crossroads where now I'm asking, what's next? As a Chamber, what are we going to do next? And that's why you'll find on your tables this survey that I think is so important. We need to hear from the chamber membership what's important to you. We need to hear about what our failures are, what our successes are. And I would hope that you would take just a few minutes before the end of the day to finalize that, because it's critically important. This is your Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the Chamber, as your chair and your executive committee and your board, we want to take the comments that you're going to provide us and lead us in the direction in conjunction with the strategic plan that Dominic has put into place, and lead the Chamber in a direction that is most meaningful to you, our members. We have 800 plus members in this Chamber of Commerce. This is a time period across the country where many chambers of commerce are not surviving. If you go home today and you Google, you'll see that many of them are going out of business. To the contrary here, we have set records today with our attendance. We're entering our 100th year, and this is an exciting time. But we're going to need your help to provide us the feedback to take this thing in the direction that we want to go. So collectively, I would hope that you would give us your thoughts. I would encourage you to be blunt and straightforward as you complete your surveys. When I stand before you this time next year, it is my sincere hope that I'll be able to share with you all the suggestions that you've made in the areas that we were able to improve and the results that we have achieved. Lastly, I'd like to thank Dana and Brandy for a great job that they've done today. Outstanding work. Again, I mentioned the towel in the lobby. Please take an opportunity to sign it on your way out. We're going to conclude our ceremony today now with the removal of the colors. And I'd ask you all to stand as the color guard comes in to remove the colors. Once again, thank you for coming. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. God bless you all. Thank you.